The Swaziland National Association of Teachers slamming the government for stifling the voice of the nation. We're now joined by the president of Eswatini National Teachers Association, Mbongwa Dlamini. Mr. Dlamini, a very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the Globe.
Good evening, Simpiwa, and thanks for having me.
Now, the Swaziland National Association of Teachers has slammed the government of Eswatini for ostensibly stifling dissent in that country and, for stopping the delivery of petitions to the various institutions. So, do you want to outline some of your grievances that you've put forth?
Yes, in actual fact, as the Swaziland National Association of Teachers, we are so much aggrieved by the stance by the government of Swaziland, because what they have done as we speak, they have decided to take a posture which is more of stifling the delivery of petition by the citizens of the country. Our members, as teachers, we are citizens before we are teachers. So whatever that is happening within the country is also affecting us as teachers. So now, at the moment, the government has decided to stop petitions that were ongoing to the different constituencies in the country, and that makes teachers not to be able to convey their grievances to the government. Our concern is just one. We want a democratic government that will be responsible for teachers' issues, because in as far as we understand, the government that we have at the moment is not responsible for the citizens. It is only responsible for the king. Whatever they do it to please the king, not us as workers and as people who contribute to the economy of the country.
Now, Mr. Dlamini, I'm sure you were listening to that sound bite of government spokesperson Dlamini, who said that it is utterly irresponsible of those Swazis who deliver the petitions at the various Tinkhundla centers as a result of COVID-19. So what do you make of that defense?
In actual fact, government should not have the issue of COVID-19 regulations as a scapegoat, because we understand very well that as teachers ourselves, we have got students throughout the day, and those students whom we teach, they are even above 500 or even above 300. And then now, how can you say you cannot even allow people to meet when even buses and public transport, it is full capacity? And then now, how can you say you don't want people to meet for the sake of COVID-19? In actual fact, the issue of COVID-19 is just something that they want to make it up as if it is something that should stop our people from conveying their grievance to the government. In actual fact, government has been doing these stunts just to try and suppress people from the freedom of expression.
All right, now SNAT is also calling for, the transition from the Tinkhundla system into a democratic one. Let's talk in greater detail about the political reforms that you are calling for in Eswatini, in a long-existing monarchy. What must really happen to bring about the democratic change in the kingdom?
Okay, thank you, Simpiwa. In actual fact, what we should understand is that SNAT as an organization, we are a democratic organization. We so much believe in democratic principles, meaning that now we understand that any government that will deliver to the teachers is a democratic government. So as SNAT, we advocate for a political government. So we expect that the government that we want to see is a government that will have political parties
Okay, to continue in greater detail, why you want a government that will allow the political parties?
It is because any government that will allow political parties is a government that will depend on what the people want. In fact, is going to deliver what the majority wants, because a democratic government will depend on what the majority needs from the government.
So is there not a danger of, the call for the politicization of the country's politics into a more democratic one, turn back on the mandate of the Swaziland National Association of Teachers, which looks, into the plight of teachers in Swaziland? So will this not compromise the mandate that has been set by the teachers of Eswatini?
In no ways, Zimpiwe. There is no way that is going to compromise. In fact, we are going to benefit from this change. If the government is going to be for the people, therefore even teachers themselves, they are going to have their opinions will be heard, and also their demands will be heard by the government, because the government will be responsible for the people. And then we expect that any government which is going to be of benefit to the people will be also of benefit to the teachers.
So has SNAT been in consultation with the government with regards to airing some of these grievances you've just told us?
As the SNAT, we have never been in any negotiations with the government in terms of the issue of maybe political reforms. But we have understood that as the SNAT, we have been pushing for bread and butter issues, but which never came forth because of the system of government that we currently under here in Swaziland. So some of these things which we tried to negotiate for, which was going to benefit our members, were never given to us by the government. That made us to realize that in actual fact, our demands are not met, not just because they are hard to be met, but it is just because they are just a symptom of a bigger problem. So the bigger problem that we have here, it is the political landscape in the country, which is not favorable for any negotiations by any union.
Now, as a body which deals with the bread and butter issues of teachers in the Kingdom of Eswatini, will it not be an exercise in futility to be calling for democratic reforms, yet you haven't yet engaged the key stakeholder in the country, which is the Tinkhundla government?
In fact, what you should understand, Simpiwe, as the SNAT, we do not have a right as an organization to engage government in terms of discussing political reforms, because our mandate is only on maybe a socio-economic or bread and butter issues. So, as a nation, as citizens of the country, because before we are teachers, we are citizens of the country. So the political landscape determines our negotiations in the trade union in as far as employer-employee negotiations are concerned. So if the political landscape doesn't favor trade union negotiations with the employer, we cannot expect any fruitful results there. So the best thing that we have to do is to make sure that the political landscape favors any form of negotiations, because our negotiations currently, they do not yield the results, because the government is always taking an autocratic approach in as far as maybe the negotiations should be concerned.
All right, Mr. Mbongwa Dlamini, the president of the Swaziland National Association of Teachers, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Simpiwe.